Welcome to 2 Cents Short of a Dollar, the show where we give our 2 cents and keep it 100. We're your hosts. That's Motiz, and I'm Rue. Boxing news I want to talk about. So we got a fight card coming up. Caleb Plant headlining and Jamal Charlo as the co-main. To be honest with you, it's so crazy because I can't even name their opponents. Like I know their names, but it has completely slipped my mind. But I think we all know what we're here for. We remember the slap. We remember Caleb Plant slapping Jamal Charlo. Jamal Charlo at that time was in a dark place. A lot was going on. I've been watching some of his recent interviews. He sounds much better, and I hope like that's for real because I wish everyone the best, right? But let's not even sugarcoat it. If these guys both win their match and it gets lined up, Jamal Charlo's on the record of saying, listen, he knows what happens. He doesn't blame Caleb for what happened, but he needs his fade. Is that a fight that you're interested in?
Yeah, 1,000,000%, right? If Caleb Plant could get past Armando Resendiz and Jamal Charlo, I think he's fighting a guy named Thomas. I can't even pronounce his last name. Lamana or some sort.
Lamana. Yeah, you're right. But yep, you're
So
absolutely
if they
right.
get past both their opponents, that is a fight that I'm 100% looking forward to, right? Especially with the build up with Caleb Plant slapping dog piss out of Jamal Charlo. Yo, he got to get it back in blood. You know what I mean? I feel like he got to get it back in blood. He got to get it back in the ring. I am at this particular point in time to date favoring Caleb Plant to win that fight, but let's see how Jamal Charlo looks.
Yeah. So let me ask you this question, and I think it's completely fair that you're favoring Caleb Plant. But if you see Jamal Charlo fight, and granted, this is a new weight class for him, but let's say he goes to 168 and he at least looks like the Jamal Charlo of old. In that case, does that bring it more to a 50-50, or do you still lean Caleb?
I think it depends how. If he looks like the old, he moves and it's like he's able to,
and the jab is clicking. Let's
clicking,
say
his timing, body shots, and he's able to even show more. I think then I'll probably be leaning more towards 50-50 for sure.
Okay.
It's just, I kind of, with Caleb Plant being the more consistent fighter, even stopping his last, adversary or last opponent. Trevor McCumbee, right? I gotta give him the nod at this time, but I'm really curious to see how Jamal is going to look against Thomas, and I also got to do some research on Thomas too to see what type of an opponent he is.
Yeah. I mean, I would hate for Jamal to lose that fight and mess this up, but the one thing I will say is, if he wasn't ready, I don't think he would go, right? Because he took that hiatus because he was dealing with a lot. He came back for the Jose Benavidez fight. And, mentally seems like he was still dealing with a lot. So he took more time. So he doesn't seem like a guy that's going to be rushed against his will. So I believe if he's coming back this time, it's because he's actually ready to fight. And even in the Jose Benavidez fight, he looked very rusty, stale, even if you could. But you saw it. You saw like the talent was still there, right? He just needed to like brush up. Like the jab was there. There was several times that he could have stopped Jose, but it's like he just couldn't really channel the full repertoire. But there was several times I feel like he had Jose in trouble. So I think he's doing the intelligent thing here because this is technically what we would call a tune-up fight, right? Really, the fight is him and Caleb, but he's like, all right, I've been on a layoff. I'm fighting at a new weight class. Let me take a fight to get my feet wet. Then let us run it. You know what I mean? So I think his approach is correct, at least.
Yeah. I would definitely agree. And that's another thing too, right? He sounds like he's in a good space and that's what he's telling us, but I just don't know until I kind of see it, right? Because all it takes is for him to have an underwhelming performance or for him to potentially lose to then be like, oh, how the same routine goes. Now all of a sudden everything was wrong, right? So I just got to wait and see, and let his hands do the talking. He has no choice but to look good coming into this next fight, in my honest opinion.
Yeah, I mean, you can never overlook your opponent, right? Look what happened to Ryan Garcia. But this is just for the hypotheticals for the case of the video. If they are both successful, they both kind of look like what we expect them to look like. I think it's a great fight. I think stylistically, it's a different matchup, Caleb Plant, than his few, right? Trevor McCumbee was a bit of like a brawler. David Benavidez is like downhill. He's like a what would you call it? You know, like an avalanche, just coming downhill. You know,
Like a cumulative puncher,
yeah.
throwing punches and bunches, overwhelming, you
Mm-hmm.
know. Yeah.
Canelo, right? He's a boxer. There's movement and all that, but he's a stalker. Where I wouldn't necessarily consider Jamal a stalker. He can definitely stalk you, right? But he's not like a stalker like Canelo. There's a lot of finesse in his fighting style. I think Caleb would be fighting a guy. I wouldn't say equally as slick, but like Jamal at his best, relative, like in the same ballpark when it comes to slickness. But a guy who I think potentially could have more power than you. Obviously, we haven't seen Jamal at 68, so we would have to wait to see how the power carries. I think stylistically, it's a different style than Caleb has seen recently, and then
Mhm.
I'll be interested to see how he deals with that style.
Yeah, yeah. I would definitely say I'm gonna assume that his power carries up to 168 pounds. I think he's gonna be punching in that weight division as well. It's just and I'm curious to see if they do match up. And if Jamal looks good, I want to see what he can do to really offset Caleb Plant style, right? The Philly
Mhm.
shell, his defense, because it's gonna be one of those fights that may go into the deep waters, right? So can Jamal really be able to kind of enforce his will, pick his
Yeah,
punches, have the accuracy there, or be willing to throw a bunch of punches, right? Because with Caleb Plant, his style, when you throw a lot of punches, you can probably, without opening yourself up, you can kind of overwhelm him. You know what I
yeah,
mean?
yeah,
Unless you're going for the accuracy, like in Canelo, right? And
yeah.
and looking to kind of stop him that way. But I will argue that Canelo at that point in time, you can argue Canelo was probably off the ledge of his prime at that particular point in time.
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah. I mean, I think you made a great point. You know, like if you are coming in there, you're going hard at Caleb. We have seen Caleb gas out in the past because his style expends a lot of energy. Now, like I
mhm.
said, Jamal, not necessarily a stalker, but let's say, it's a tug of war back and forth, and we get into the deep waters. Could we potentially see Caleb gas, and could that help Jamal? I think there's just a lot of interesting situations, a lot of possible outcomes. Obviously, they got to get past their fight now. Then they got to get lined up. Then we can make predictions. But as of right now, it's a fight that I'm really interested in. Very
Yeah.
interested. Yeah. Make sure you guys jump in the comment section. Tell us what you think. Are you interested in Jamal Charlo versus Caleb Plant? Or have you already written Jamal Charlo off? Um, he said he's back with his brother. Everything is good. Like I said in the interviews, he sounds good, sounds healthy, seems like he's thinking, sounds intellectual. So I think he's in a good space. I think it makes for a great fight at the 168-pound division. He's been long overdue to go to that division. So, make sure you guys, like I said, jump in the comment section, like, and subscribe.